Stop using your phone assistant like it's 2019 because you are wasting the most powerful tool in your pocket. Most people think these AI helpers are just glorified kitchen timers, but the top 3 assistants right now are doing things that would have looked like science fiction 5 years ago. You've probably been there. You ask your phone to do something simple, like send a message to mom, and it replies,
"Okay, playing Mom's Spaghetti on Spotify."
It's frustrating. It makes you want to throw the phone out the window. For a long time, phone assistants were pretty dumb. They were good for setting an alarm or maybe checking the weather, but that was it. But while you weren't looking, the game changed completely. We aren't just talking about voice commands anymore. We are talking about actual intelligence that lives in your pocket. We are going to break down the top 3 smartphone assistants you can use right now. We aren't just looking at who is the smartest. We are looking at who is the most helpful, who protects your privacy, and who actually controls your phone the best. Because believe it or not, the smartest AI might not actually be the best one for you. Let's start with the heavy hitter. If you are on Android, or even if you use an iPhone and love Google Apps, Gemini is the new king in town. Google basically took their old Google Assistant, the one that was pretty good but sounded like a robot, and replaced its brain with a supercomputer. Gemini isn't just listening for keywords anymore, it's actually thinking. Here is a real example. The old assistants worked on a script. If you didn't say the magic words in the right order, they failed. But Gemini is built on what tech people call a large language model. You don't need to know the technical stuff, but here is what it means for you. It understands context. Imagine you are planning a weekend trip. In the old days, you'd have to search for a hotel, then open your calendar, then open your email to find your flight. It was a mess. With Gemini, you can just talk to it like a human. You can say, "Hey, check my emails for a flight to Chicago next Friday and find me a hotel near the airport that costs less than $200. And it actually does it. It pulls info from your Gmail, checks Google Hotels, and cross-references it with maps. It's like having a personal secretary who has access to your entire digital life. But the coolest part is the conversation. You can ask follow-up questions. If it finds a hotel, you can say, "Is that place close to a good pizza spot?" It remembers the hotel you were just talking about, looks up pizza places nearby, and gives you an answer. You don't have to restate the whole question. That back and forth flow is something we have never really had on a phone before. It's not perfect though, because it thinks so much. Sometimes it can be a little slower than the old dumb assistants. If you just want to turn on the flashlight, you might feel a tiny delay while Gemini thinks about the meaning of flashlight. But for getting actual work done, writing emails for you, or summarizing long articles, nothing else comes close. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. For years, Siri was the class clown. It was the butt of every joke. You'd ask Siri a question, and it would just say,
"Here is what I found on the web,"
and show you a Google search. Useless. But Apple finally woke up. With the latest updates, Siri has gone through a massive transformation. But Apple is playing a different game than Google. They aren't trying to build the smartest godlike AI that knows everything in the world. They are building the most helpful assistant that knows you. The biggest upgrade is something called screen awareness. This is huge. Let's say your friend texts you an address for a party. In the past, you'd have to copy that address, close the texting app, open Maps, and paste it. Now, you can just look at the text and say, "Siri, add this address to his contact card." Siri can see what is on your screen. It knows that this address refers to the text bubble you are looking at, and his refers to the friend you are texting. That sounds simple, but it's actually really hard for computers to do. It makes using your iPhone feel much smoother. The other big thing with Siri is privacy. A lot of people are creeped out by AI. They don't want Google reading their emails or knowing their location every second. Apple processes almost everything right on your phone. The AI isn't sending your voice recording to a giant server farm in the middle of nowhere. It stays on your device. But what happens when you ask Siri a really hard question, like plan a 3-day meal plan for a vegan diet? Siri isn't great at that creative stuff. So, Apple did something clever. They partnered with OpenAI. If Siri doesn't know the answer, it will ask you,
"Do you want me to ask ChatGPT?"
If you say yes, it hands the question off to the smart guy, gets the answer, and shows it to you. It's the best of both worlds. You get the privacy and safety of Apple for your personal stuff, like your messages and calendar. And you get the brainpower of ChatGPT for the big, general questions. You don't have to choose between privacy and smarts anymore. Okay, hold on. I know what you are thinking. Bixby? Really? I disabled that button the day I bought my Samsung. Hear me out. Bixby gets a lot of hate because people try to use it like it's ChatGPT. They ask it to write a poem or explain the history of Rome, and Bixby fails hard. But that's not what Bixby is for. Bixby is the mechanic of the group. While Gemini and Siri are out there trying to write essays and plan vacations, Bixby is under the hood of your phone, pulling levers and flipping switches. If you have a Samsung phone, Bixby is the only assistant that has deep control over the hardware. Google Gemini can't do this. Siri can do some of it, but not like this. Here is the killer feature: Bixby Routines. This isn't just asking about the weather, this is automation. You can set up a routine where you say, "Good night," and Bixby does 10 things at once. It turns off your Wi-Fi, turns on Do Not Disturb, dims the screen to 10% brightness, turns on the blue light filter, and, this is the crazy part, it can even change your battery settings to charge slower overnight so your battery lasts longer. No other assistant can touch that level of hardware control. It can clear your background memory, change your screen refresh rate, or open 2 specific apps in split-screen mode with one command. If you are a power user who wants to control every inch of your device without tapping through a million menus, Bixby is actually a beast. The smartest move for Samsung users right now is actually a hybrid strategy. You install Google Gemini for your questions and creative stuff, but you keep Bixby for your phone settings. It's like having a genius professor and a skilled handyman working for you at the same time. So, we have these 3 amazing tools, but we need to talk about the dark side. There is a problem that affects all of them, but especially the new smart ones like Gemini. It's called hallucination. That's a fancy word for lying. Because these AI models are designed to predict the next word in a sentence, sometimes they prioritize sounding good over being right. You might ask Gemini to summarize a news article, and it might invent a quote that wasn't there just because it fits the flow of the sentence. I asked an assistant recently to tell me if a specific local restaurant was open on Sundays. It confidently said,
Yes, they are open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I drove there. They were closed. The AI had just guessed based on typical restaurant hours. This is the danger zone. When we start trusting these assistants with our money, our schedules, and our businesses, a small lie can cause a big problem. Siri is a bit safer here because it tends to say, "I don't know," rather than making things up, but it's still a risk. You have to treat these assistants like a very smart, very confident intern. They are helpful, but you still need to double-check their work sometimes. So, which one should you actually use? It comes down to what you value most. If you want a second brain, something that can help you write, create, and organize your chaotic digital life, Google Gemini is the winner, hands down. It is the smartest AI you can put on a phone today. It feels like living in the future. If you are already deep in the Apple ecosystem, you have the iPhone, the watch, the Mac. Stick with the new Siri. The privacy features and the way it hands off complex tasks to ChatGPT make it a smooth, safe experience. It just works, and you don't have to worry about your data floating around the cloud. And if you are a Samsung user who loves tweaking settings and automating your life, don't sleep on Bixby. Use it for what it's good at, controlling your phone, and let Google handle the trivia questions. The days of yelling at your phone because it doesn't understand you are over. These assistants are finally ready to actually assist. You just have to pick the right one.